Chapter 10 The Last Promise.
Christine rushed to Eric and begged him to stop the insanity. She knew now that she had to agree to be his wife, or Raoul and the Persian would die. She knew she had to sacrifice everything if her true love were to live. She had no choice. She had to do it. It was almost too late when she took his arm and looked into his hollow, haunted eyes.
Eric, please have mercy on them. If you do, if you save them, I'll be your wife. I'll stay with you and we'll sing together day and night.
She could not control her tears, and her hold on his arm tightened.
Please, Eric, I beg you.
He returned her gaze.
Will you, my darling? Will you stay with me forever?
Yes, Eric. I promise.
And with those terrible words, she gathered more courage than she could imagine and kissed him on his dreadful forehead. Her tears swept across his face, and he, too, wept. A few days later, after the terrible events in the torture chamber, the Persian woke up, surprised to find himself in his own flat. Slowly, he realized he was not alone in the room. A tall, pale figure swayed nearby. Eric was weak and could barely speak or walk. His cloak was wet with blood, and he held his chest tightly.
You will be fine, my old companion. It is I who am dying.
Pity did not enter the mind of the Persian, who could remember only the torture he had suffered at the hands of this madman.
What have you done with the Viscount and Christine? Where are they?
Eric's mind was clouded with pain.
Love is my killer, old friend. The Viscount's bullet pierced only my body. Now love has pierced my soul, and I can leave this world in peace. She kissed me, old friend. She kissed me and promised to be my wife.
Where are they?
The Persian insisted.
I have released the girl. She is safe with Madame Valerius, and I have returned the young man to his home. See that they find each other.
Eric dragged himself slowly towards the door. As he left, he put on his mask before stepping into a waiting carriage in the street. The Persian never saw him again, nor did he hear the faint voice say to the driver,
"Take me to the opera."
Some days later, a black evening cloak was found by a dresser, neatly folded and lying at the foot of a mirror in a dressing room at the Paris Opera House. In it were wrapped a mask and a gold ring, and on top of it lay a note in faint red ink.
My dear Christine, I shall always love you.
A tall, dark figure walked alone along the shore of the underground lake, where an old, abandoned boat lay overturned. In the dim light of a gas lamp he carried, something shiny caught his eye. He bent over to look more closely and picked it up. A bullet! Was this the last trace of the mysterious legend that had haunted the world above for so many years? The opera had been free from strange happenings and accidents for many years now. Still, in the dark passageways behind the scenes, a stagehand or scene changer would be startled by a sudden noise or a fleeting shadow, and wonder if the phantom had ever really left. Later, sitting in the window of his flat overlooking the gardens of Paris, the Persian contemplated the story of a young boy he had found in a circus sideshow, the boy who grew up to become a ghost. Would anyone now believe that this creature had been flesh and blood, that his name was Eric, and that he wanted only to love and be loved? The Persian alone could tell the story, for he alone knew the details of that miserable life. So, as the terrible memories returned, he put pen to paper and began to write.
I feel it is my duty to inform you on the subject of the one referred to as the Phantom of the Opera. As someone who has personal knowledge of his life and times, I can say with authority that this person who committed so many crimes within the opera is now dead.
He continued to write, describing Eric's life in Persia and his work for the Shah, the design of the Shah's palace with the secret chambers, and his invention of instruments of torture. He had learnt well how to use them, and it was the perfect training for his evil deeds at the opera. The Persian laid down his pen and considered whether or not to continue. Would anyone believe such a fantastic tale?
No,
he thought.
I have cleansed myself now of the terrors of the past. Perhaps Eric's story is better left to the secret chambers of the opera's cellars.
Years passed before Madame Christine de Chagny was able to unwrap the old black evening cloak she had kept for so long. She took one last look at the remains of a part of her life which was almost too painful to remember, and then placed it with the mask and the gold ring in a mahogany box. She would never look at them again. Locking the box, she left her old dressing room and the Paris Opera forever. A carriage took her from the Rue Scribe through the city streets to the other side of town. Stopping briefly on the way, she left the carriage only long enough to throw a small brass key into the River Seine. She held the mahogany box in her lap as the carriage entered the cemetery of Montparnasse. The poor, tormented soul who had changed her life would, in death, be remembered with dignity. Madame de Chagny laid to rest the last tragic evidence of his sorrow and pain. A simple stone, engraved with the words, "In memory of Eric, a true lover of the opera," now stands among the grander ones of the Parisian artists and celebrities buried there. The dusty air of Paris sweeps its surface, but the spirit of Eric is no longer hidden in the darkness. The compassion and forgiveness of the one he loved brought him into the light at last. Late some night, in the Paris Opera, when the auditorium has emptied and the patrons have left their boxes, go and listen carefully. You just might hear a beautiful voice, no longer in agony, ringing from box 5, the voice of the Phantom of the Opera.